I'm Luke Summerhays, and I love Skrelp. Sometimes Pokémon designs are accused of just being animals. Particularly in the first generation, there are monsters that are just a bird, just a crab, or just a seal. When the animal is strange enough, though, it doesn't take much to make them feel like Pokémon. Sea dragons are a small group of animals related to seahorses and pipefish. Among them are the leafy sea dragon and reedy sea dragon, camouflaged as sea vegetation so accurately that even after one spots the animal, it still looks like it's made of plants. Thanks to their large leaf-like fins, they actually struggle to swim effectively, mostly drifting on the currents and hoping not to be noticed. Skrelp is a water and poison type Pokémon, which looks like a seahorse with some leafy decorations. It actually looks more like a real animal than the real-life leafy sea dragon does. It is a tempting camouflage. Pokémon X tells us, "Camouflaged as rotten kelp, they spray liquid poison on prey that approaches unawares, and then finish it off." Pokémon Sword tells us, "It drifts in the ocean, blending in with floating seaweed. When other Pokémon come to feast on the seaweed, Skrelp feasts on them instead." And Pokémon Shield. Skrelp looks like a piece of rotten seaweed, so it can blend in with seaweed drifting on the ocean and avoid being detected by enemies. And like real sea dragons, Skrelp are not good swimmers. Ultra Moon tells us, "It's not good at swimming, so it clings to the seaweed. In the Alola region, it's often found near Delmise." And Pokémon Violet. This Pokémon is a poor swimmer. If it's caught in a fierce storm, it will sometimes get washed far away and become unable to return to its home. The Japanese name for this Pokémon is Kuzumo, an abbreviation of the Japanese word for artificial grass, but also an anagram for the Japanese word for seaweed scraps. The name Skrelp combines kelp, the large brown seaweed it resembles, and scrawny or scrap, referring to its weak position and scavenging lifestyle. This is one of those weak Pokémon that just tries to stay alive long enough to evolve. Pokémon Y tells us, "It looks just like rotten kelp. It hides from foes while storing up power for its evolution." Skrelp has to wait a long time, but at level 48 it finally evolves into Dragalge. Dragalge has spread its leaf-like fins into wings, and embraced the namesake of the sea dragon, becoming the first ever dragon and poison-type Pokémon. This is interesting as a lot of historical dragon stories featured much more poison than fire-breathing, a more reasonable challenge for a medieval knight to do battle with. Pokémon Shield tells us, "Dragalge generates dragon energy by sticking the plume on its head out above the ocean's surface and bathing it in sunlight." Despite its new draconic powers, Dragalge still relies on stealth and camouflage to deal with foes. Pokémon Violet tells us, "Since Finizen is the better swimmer, Dragalge will approach it under the cover of seaweed, then immobilize it with a poisonous attack." The English name combines dragon and algae, appropriately enough, as the Japanese name does, Dramidoro. This is a sea dragon in the old-school "here be dragons" sense, a proper sea monster. Pokémon X tells us, "Their poison is strong enough to eat through the hull of a tanker, and they spit it indiscriminately at anything that enters their territory." And Pokémon Y says, "Tales are told of ships that wander into seas where Dragalge live, never to return." In actual competitive terms, Dragalge has a unique typing, and the useful ability Adaptability, which boosts same-type attack bonus to 2 times instead of 1.5 times, but it just isn't quite statistically strong enough to be a major presence. Sea dragons are cool and unique animals, with a name that makes you imagine something even more cool and unique. Skrelp and Dragalge take that concept and turn it, quite naturally, into a very cool pair of Pokémon. Music for Luke Loves Pokémon is by Jonathan Cromie. Artwork for the show is by Katie Groves. If you enjoy the podcast, find out about my other shows at podcastiopodcastius.org. Get in touch on Blue Sky at podcastpodcast, or support the show at patreon.com/podcastiopodcastius. I love hearing from listeners. Up next are Clauncher and Helioptile, so hit me up about those or any other Pokemon. And even if you don't feel like doing any of that, thank you so much just for listening. I love Skrelp, and remember, I love you too.